Hello, welcome to New Beginnings. My name is Liz. I'll be your facilitator today. Today we're going to be using National Family Promises resource online. There is a link sent in your email. Please go on your own and look this over. There are several chapters today that we will not cover. We will also be using some templates, and those are sent in your email as well. And do not forget to fill out the New Beginnings questionnaire after you have completed this class. All right, so let's get started. We're first going to talk about budget. So what is a budget? A budget is a tool to help you plan how to use your money. It'll tell you what to do with your money and what you could do with your money. So what can a budget do for you? Your budget can help you make sure you have an emergency fund. Your budget can lead you out of debt. Your budget can reflect your personality. Your budget can bring your family closer together. Your budget can relieve you of worry and confusion. And your budget can put you in control of your financial life. So what are needs and what are wants? Needs are things we must have. They are what we need to live. Wants are things we'd like to have. They make life happier, easier, and comfortable. Budgeting can help us separate needs from wants. So let's talk a little bit more about that. I have a chart here, and it just goes through a few things. Let's talk about what a need is and what a want is. Do this at home. You may have some different answers than I do. But let's go through it together. Cable television plan. I would think at this time that's a want. They can be very expensive. There is internet streaming these days that tend to be less expensive. There's also free TV if you're willing to watch some ads. So I think a cable television plan at this point is a want. Chrome-plated wheels for your car you drive to work. That seems like a want as well. You just have to have your cars have air in them so you can get there. Gas for the car you drive to work. Gas is definitely a need. You need a gas to make the car go. Healthful foods for your family meals. That's definitely a need. You want your family to eat healthy as well as you. Lottery tickets are a want. We would all love to win the lottery. It would make life a lot easier. However, those are still a want. Monthly savings plan. Monthly savings plan is definitely a need. Even if you don't have enough to start a savings with your bank, it's important to have a plan so that you can get there. Smartphone game apps. Those are definitely a want, although these days there's a lot of free apps. So just don't spend the extra money in the app. Just take those few extra days to pass the level. Snack food and fast food burgers. Definitely a want. I know it's nice to have a break from cooking and things of that nature, but perhaps do them only when your budget allows. Telephone. Telephones are definitely, I feel, more of a need these days. We don't have landline phones anymore so much. People need their cell phones to keep in contact with people. School, you need to hear from your children's school. But you don't have to have the newest expensive iPhone or Android. You can find pay-as-you-go phones, Wi-Fi phones. Just might have to do a little bit more research as to what can fit your budget. Time with your children. Time with your children is definitely a need, not just for you, but for them as well. You all need to spend time together. Winter vacation. If you're going somewhere and spending money, then that might be more of a want. You can take time at home during winter break and make cookies, play games, watch holiday movies, things of that nature that fits into your budget. Washer and dryer. I think this is also a tough one. You need to wash your clothes. Going to the laundromat is time consuming. It can eventually be more money in the long run, but washer and a dryer, those are a large item purchase. So you might just have to wait until you can save up enough money to purchase the washer and the dryer beforehand. So setting a goal is important. If you set a goal, you're more likely to achieve that goal. So let's talk about tips for your goals. Be specific. Each goal you set should state exactly what you want to achieve. I want my family to have a comfortable home is not specific. I want my children to have bedrooms of their own is specific. Be realistic. Each goal should be something that you think you actually can achieve. Set goals that challenge you, but not goals that overwhelm you and discourage you. Be relevant. Each goal should be relevant to the financial life that you've envisioned for yourself. Relevant goals may be about getting out of debt, budgeting, saving, housing, and employment. And of course, be positive. Each goal you set should be a positive statement. It should be about something you want to do. It should not be about something you do not want to do. So now we're going to talk about balancing a budget. So balancing a budgeting is balancing. It's balancing income and expenses. The money that goes out must match the money that comes in. If it does not, then the budget is not balanced. If the income is greater than expenses, good news, you have a surplus. You can use it to pay off debts, spend it on something special, and or build a savings. So let's look at an example of a family budget. So the Mortons, they have a problem. Their budget does not balance. Their monthly expenses are $3,653.11. Their monthly income is $3,387.29. So they have a deficit of $265.82. So they have to find a way to either make that much more each month or a way to spend less each month, or maybe do a little bit of both. So let's look at their monthly expenses. So this is a great template. This is sent to you in the email, a blank one, not the one with the Morton's information. First, you start out with your monthly income on the one side. This is where you put down everything that you are receiving. So full-time, Curtis has a full-time and a part-time job, so that's listed. Sylvia has a full-time job, so that's listed. Their LIHEAP, WIC, and SNAP, those are all assistant programs, and those are all listed as well because those do indeed count towards your monthly income because that is money that you are receiving. On the other side, they have monthly expenses, and they're divided into two different sections, fixed expenses and optional expenses. So your fixed expenses are things like food, rent, clothing, transportation, childcare, insurance, any medications, utilities, debt payoff, savings, things that have to be paid each month. And then your optional expenses are ones that you could probably get away with maybe not spending during that month. So you can see their monthly expenses, their fixed expenses. We have a subtotal at the bottom, and that's $3,042.01. So that is definitely below their budget. And then they have their optional expenses, and those total out to $611.10. So when we're looking at their optional expenses, those are always the ones that I think that are easier to cut first because they're not the needs. So they spend $34.40 on DVD rentals each month. So perhaps that's a way we can cut back a little bit there. Obviously, that's not going to make up the $265 deficit. But they also spend quite a bit on lunches, coffees, and snacks. Perhaps they can cut that a bit. If they could cut that down by half, then they would have just about enough money to even out their budget For food, if you see for their food, they spend $700.90 a month. There is 2 adults and 2 children, so it can definitely be expensive, but maybe there are some ways that they can cut their food budget, and we'll talk a little bit more about cutting your food budget in a little bit. So there's probably a few spots that they can work on. Look at this yourself. What do you think? Whatever you see here, that might help you with your own budget. So let's look at your monthly budget. Does your budget balance? This is where your income and expenses are even, or even better, your income is more than your expenses, which is a surplus. Do you have a deficit? This is where expenses are more than your income. Think of the work you did for the Mortons. Would the ideas you had for them work for you? So below, here is the balanced budget equation. Net income, so that's your income after taxes are taken out, minus your fixed expenses, minus your variable expenses, minus your savings, equals a surplus or a deficit. So please note, savings is subtracted from your income. This is how critical savings is. Build this cushion however possible. Increase income, decrease expenses. We don't want to let this box go as we can discuss your surplus or deficit. So it's so important, even if it's just a few dollars every month, just get a start and start that savings. So there's a few ways that you can maybe look at how much money you're spending each month, because maybe you don't realize how many optional spendings or optional expenses you have. Like maybe you go into the gas station to pay for your gas, and then you end up doing what are called impulse buys. So you buy like soda and candy bar, and you just may not realize how much little things you're buying. So I would encourage you to keep your receipts, or have a little notebook with you. Make a little note of every time you spend something that's outside of your fixed expenses. Perhaps an app. There are lots of apps on smartphones that help you keep track of your monetary funds. Another thing that people like to do to help keep them on track during the month is an envelope system. So you would have designated envelopes, for rent, for gas, for food, and putting your money in those envelopes and seeing how much you have, and then how much you have after all those fixed expenses are accounted for, might help to see how much money you really do have at the end of the day. Are you overspending? So those are really great ways to keep track of your finances, especially when you're first starting. So another thing to do is having your yearly budget. So we talked about a monthly budget, which is very important, but a yearly budget is also important because there are different things that come up during the year that aren't necessarily a monthly thing, like birthdays or, I don't know, any other things that come up that just may not be a monthly thing. So add your yearly expenses to your weekly and monthly budget to give you a clearer picture of your financial state. So here are some better examples that I could just come up with. Taxes, life insurance, renter's insurance, family birthdays, auto insurance. So those things aren't necessarily an every month type of payment that you have to make, but you do have to account for them in your yearly budget, and therefore it very well may affect your monthly budget. So let's see, they've got a budget form attached. So let's take a look at that. Okay. All right. I have another one. Sorry about that. So here we go. Here's the yearly budget. See, so you can mark which one, which 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 expenses you're going to have to deal with during the year, and then you have a space to write them in for each month, and that will help you organize your yearly budget. And then this way, if you have your monthly budget against your yearly budget, you can compare them. So if it's January and you have a child's birthday, well, in your monthly budget for that month, you'll want to account for the child's birthday. Whereas maybe February, that's not going to be the case. So then your budget might look slightly different. So always use them together. All right, so now let's talk about assistance programs. Assistant programs are so important. So there are several different ones. This is just a few of the ones listed. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP. It's been called in the past food stamps. Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, WIC. Low Income Energy Assistance Program, that's the LIHEAP. And then there's Temporary Assistance to Needy Families, TANF. And then, of course, there's Housing Choice Vouchers. So I would encourage you to, if you don't have any of these and you think you might be able to apply with them, go onto the Tennessee government website, search around, see how you can contact and be able to apply for these, because you don't want to miss out on any benefits if you are eligible for them. All right. So now we're going to talk about stretching your budget. So there are different ways to stretch your budget. I think we can all get creative, but here are 10 tips to stretching your budget. 1, know what you can afford. 2 would be avoid impulse buying. 3 would be avoid bargains sometimes, right? Like sometimes you might see a really good bargain, but if you don't need the items that is the bargain, then perhaps it's best to not buy them, no matter how good the deal is. Avoid using credit cards sometimes. I think that we're all run into a time where something happens and we need to use a credit card. In case of emergencies, if we don't have that savings built up yet. However, don't go and buy your groceries on the credit card every time. Save it for emergencies. Avoid store credit cards. That's also great advice because it's easy to sign up for store credit cards. Usually they give you some sort of promotion like, oh, you'll get 20% off this first time if you sign up. But then if you are using several different credit cards at different stores, your spending could definitely get out of hand. 6, budget as a family. It's important to have your family involved. This will hold you accountable. You can also hear what your family thinks are needs and wants, and that will maybe give you a different perspective on how your budgeting should go. Curb your electricity usage. If the children left the TV on and they've left the room and are definitely occupied by something else, then go ahead and turn it off. Lights, I think that is also something us parents end up turning off all the time, is lights after our children. So unplug things. If you only use the toaster in the morning, go ahead and unplug it. Just small little things that you can do. Adjust your cable and phone plans. If you're, paying for the most amount of minutes or the most amount of channels, but you're definitely not using all of them, perhaps you can pare down those plans. Number 9, stretch your food budget. And number 10, use a bank account. So let's talk about using coupons. So coupons are a great way to cut down on your food spending. So this coupon below is from a supermarket. So usually if it's a supermarket coupon, you can only use it at said supermarket. So this is $2 off your $5 meat purchase, and it's only valid from February 3rd to February 20th, and it's limit 1 coupon per customer. So it says save $2, which is really great. But you do have to spend $5 on the meat to get the $2 savings. So you have to decide, is that a good deal or not? And also make sure you are within the expiration date, since this does have an expiration date, and the fact that you can only use 1 per customer. So always pay attention to the fine print of your coupons. Alright, so this coupon below is from a clothing store. 50% off any one regular price sweater, valid Fridays only. So if you're planning to buy a sweater already, if it's that time of year, this definitely isn't a bad deal. But if you're not planning on buying a sweater and it's only valid on Fridays, it puts you in quite a bit of a box. Don't buy a sweater just to buy a sweater. And what is the initial price? If it's a $200 sweater and you're paying $100 for it, that might not be the best deal for you. So always make sure and think about the initial price opposed to how much the coupon is saving you. So next we're going to talk about unit pricing. So unit labels are on the supermarket shelves. So they're underneath the item. It tells you what the price is, what the item is, and what the unit price is per ounce. So the unit price per ounce is the important part that you'll want to pay attention to. So the name of the brand peanut butter is at the top of the label. Below is the size of the jar, which is 16 ounces. In the bottom right corner is the price of the peanut butter, which is $2.99. So 18.7 cents per ounce is how much you're paying. There might be a different peanut butter that is the same 16 ounces, but you might be paying, 15 cents per ounce. So always look at how much you're paying for what you're getting. You might find a smaller jar of peanut butter that is less per ounce. It may be a little bit more money. So you have to look and make sure you are getting the best bang for your buck. So let's talk about the power of a list. So do you plan before you buy, or do you buy whatever catches your eye? You might think of only a grocery list, but shopping lists can also help you with clothing, back to school, and online shopping. So what can a list do for you? It saves you money, helps you separate needs from wants, helps you avoid impulse buying, helps you resist the lure of advertising, and it saves on time. I mean, if you don't make a list, sometimes you're just wandering around the grocery store, and that is also not helpful. So let's talk about stretching your food budget. There are 10 tips here. 1, make your meals at home. Make a weekly plan. If you're making your meals at home, sometimes it's great to make a weekly plan of what meals when you're going to cook when. If you buy 2 pounds of ground beef, can you use 1 pound at the beginning of the week and 1 pound at the end of the week? And perhaps then you are using things more often, and more planning means less thinking every night. Use leftovers, definitely. Sometimes you just gotta have leftovers night, and there's nothing wrong with that. Buy produce in season. Buying produce in season is great because if it's out of season, that means it's gonna cost more money. The summer's a great time, especially around here. There are so many different farmers markets. So many different people selling their own produce. So many people who have gardens. Make a friend with somebody who has a garden. They'll probably have extra produce that they will be willing to give because they don't want it to go bad. Avoid prepared foods. It's tempting and it's easy, but they tend to be more expensive. Think simple, tasty, filling, and nutritious. Buy in bulk when you can. If there's a sale on, cans of soup, it's 10 for $10. Maybe you spend a few extra dollars and then you don't have to worry about it. Canned foods, toilet paper, other paper goods, things that won't go bad. If there's a sale and you can fit it into your budget, it's always great to buy in bulk, and then you don't have to worry about it later. Stock up on sale items. So, same thing there. If it's on sale, you can budget it and it won't go bad, then perhaps that's the time to stock up. Buy store or generic brands. Everybody loves a name brand. There's a safeness there, but many a times the store brand tastes just as good as the name brand, and usually a bit cheaper. And then also, again, use a shopping list. That just makes it so much easier than aimlessly walking around the grocery store. So I hope that you enjoyed class today. Like I said, we used the Family Promise National New Beginnings resource, and that link is sent in the same email. The templates that we talked about, I will send. There also have been sent blank ones in the email so that you can print them out if you have a printer or access to a printer, or at least just use them as a guide and just bust out your own notebook and a pen and figure out your yearly budget and your monthly budget. And most importantly, please do not forget to fill out the New Beginnings questionnaire at the end of this class. Have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for listening.